So today is Thursday, November 7th, and obviously we all know that Trump will be our 47th president. And I'm making this video as more reactionary, but also lessons to be learned from all this. And I mean, obviously, we're devastated, but the good thing is that we're not rioting the Capitol. So I know the other side is probably singing in the rain in liberal tears, let's say. But think of it this way, at least we're not saying weird shit like, Trump is not my president, blah, 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 of rioting the Capitol. So just know that this is a good thing. So I would say to all my Republicans out there, don't blow this, okay? If the message really is about unifying and healing.
You played a very dangerous game.
Change always is.
Just how long do you think this peace is going to last?
As long as it can.
Well, that's where it starts. So don't be an asshole out there. Because I see all these videos and it's like, oh my god. Last I recall, 4 years ago, you guys were whining and crying and doing a lot of worse shit. So don't get me started on that. But anyways, yes, obviously we are sad. I mean, that day I got like 3 hours of sleep. I had to go to work the next day and it was just awkwardly silent, so just going into meetings and no one was saying shit. So yeah, that was weird. But anyways, what I think happened is I think America just got manipulated the shit out of. And what I mean by that is, if you compare both campaigns, Trump on one hand has been running his campaign for years, I don't know exact, 2 years, and just been spreading around this propaganda, just saying just outlandish shit that just attracts attention. Shit like, oh, the kids are going to the schools as a boy and coming out as a girl, which we know is not a thing. These things, they may have happened once or twice as a very edge case, but to run your whole campaign around it is very false. On the other side of the aisle, you have Kamala, who only ran her campaign for 107 days, who she didn't even realize she was running until Biden dropped out. So she was a last minute pick. So I give a very strong kudos to her for just the fight that she did, because hell, that was one hell of a fight. I don't think anybody would have been able to run a better campaign in just the time that she had. All odds were already stacked against her, and the thing that was very revelating to me is that a lot of people didn't even realize that she was running. We saw that in the Google search results on the night of the election or the day before, that people were literally looking up, did Biden drop out of the election? They didn't even know that he dropped out of the election and Harris was running. So I think just the messaging needs to be more simpler, on the Democratic side. I saw all this campaigning around just anti-Trump, but I don't think people care about that. What was very telling was that people vote with their pockets, with their pocketbook. How does it affect my pockets? Because we always talk about the economy, but what really matters to them is at the microeconomic level. Like, how does it really affect how much they can afford to pay for eggs or gas or whatnot? And yeah, we say this at work also, is perception matters. While the numbers are going down in terms of inflation, like you see the stats don't lie. The perception is still there that it's hard, you know, that the price of things are way crazy. So, you know, I'll give you an example. At the peak of this, I remember going into DiGiorno or into the grocery store, and I looked at the DiGiorno pizzas, which I like, frozen pizzas. They were like going up to $8, and we were just like, nope, no effing way. So we just screw it. But now it's gone down to like $6 or something very reasonable. So we're like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll give it a shot again. So we are seeing these things go down, but whether people are picking up on this perception, you know, because the stats don't lie, but it's just all about the perception. So that's what I mean, is just keep things simple. And I'll give you an example. I do this kind of for a living, basically. I'm a user experience designer. I make products, online products, for a living. And we do this all the time. You know, we think we have an ideal layout for a website or whatnot, or an app, and then we test it with users, and, you know, like most of the time we're making it more simpler, and then we get reactions from users, and we make it even more simpler because, you know, come to surprise, people are simpletons, you know, less text, you know, less buttons. So it's the same. There's no difference here. Is just people, you know, don't try and muddy the waters with all this crazy messaging. Just what's in it for them. So that's where I think we blew it, basically. Just, you know, less of this anti-Trump thing and more like what, because these people, they're on survival mode, you know, they're on the brink of poverty. The economy never really was an issue for me. I feel like I have enough skills where I can easily find a job, but that's just me. But I know most people, you know, outside of my New York bubble, you know, they're living in different situations. So, but at the same time, when you're that vulnerable and down, you do tend to look to things to just help you get out of those. As an example, you know how people, when they lose just everything, all of a sudden they're turning to God and whatnot. It's kind of the same thing when you're just down with your luck, and then in comes this very charismatic character, Trump, which I gotta admit, he is a pretty charismatic guy. And you know, he's just selling you on these promises, which the part that disturbs me the most is they're all lies, you know, because he's just trying to get in office. Yeah, I think he got you. I think he got America. I think he got just this. His message was just very clear, even though it was all based around a lie. That's the part that disappoints me the most, is people kind of believed it, you know. And yeah, I was joking around with my wife the other day. I was like, man, are people this malleable? Like, I bet you, if I wanted to run for politics, I bet you I could. And I bet you they don't even know what malleable means. You know, I mean, jokes aside, but there is some truth there, like, because true story, even when I was in that voting booth, aside from the main candidates, there were other local candidates on there, which I fully admit I didn't know who they were, and I just chose the name that I saw on yard signs around my town, and that was it. So even if the message is as simple as that, just knowing their name, sometimes that's all it takes. And that's where that whole idea came around, like, man, I bet you I have a shot at politics. Because if it's really that simple, you know, like, it's just all about perception, you know. Who do people see the most? If people don't even know about you, then what's the point, you know? And just keep the message simple. So that's the lesson learned from this is, yeah, that's where I think we went wrong, is we just America just got manipulated the shit out of. And I would say that I'm willing to give Trump a chance. However, I remember saying this to myself when he won last time. When he won last time around, we were all devastated, but I was like, you know what? Let's give him a chance. But this time, I'm not going to say that because we all know what happened last time. We gave him a chance, and a few months later, next thing you know, he's burning shit down. I'm like, fuck. I mean, freak. So, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to just brace myself, and that's why I'm doing this video, actually, is I just kind of just want to be more vocal about these things, and because I hear all these opinions online, and I just don't freaking agree with them, you know? They're not taking in considerations of other things and viewpoints, which is why I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of the messaging. And going back to Joe Rogan, I did see the Joe Rogan and Elon Musk podcast after he interviewed Trump, and it was going pretty good, you know, like they had some really good points, you know, how like, you know, Democrats, they do tend to soundbite little things and everything. And hey, I'll even admit I was wrong about that whole soundbite about shooting Liz Cheney in the face. You know, that was taken out of context. But where I do find it unacceptable is when Joe was interviewing Donald Trump, and I'm just looking very closely when he's pressing him about the stolen election, and you can just tell Trump is getting fidgety and just, you know, you could just tell in his body language this guy's just trying to just weasel his way out of this answer, and Joe just shrugs it off and just switches the subject very fastly, which I noticed he did even with Elon too when they were talking about guns. That is one reason why I can't fucking stand Joe. I used to like him, but now it just feels like he's just shoving his views down our throat, and I don't like it. I don't agree with some of his shit that he says. So yeah, you know, just pay attention to these things very closely. Like, yeah, the guy's freaking lying, and you could just tell he was lying. Donald Trump, you know, on his podcast. But anyways, what's the point? We're here now. It's too late. So let's just brace ourselves. I'm going to try and be more vocal. Hopefully this isn't the last video I make. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Peace.